Hi guys and welcome to BombAnime.
It's your girl Bruca.
And Big Boy Summer here. Demon Slayer, Sword Village Arc, Mist Hashira, Muichiro, Tokito.
Firstly, Gyokko's powers are really sick. He has such good skills, abilities, and demon blood art. He can shed his skin instantly, and it can also work as a defensive measure, which he used here in the fight between him and Muichiro. He can teleport. He seems to be able to create this never-ending string of demons with his blood demon art, and he can use different types of poisons with this. The fish who can poison you through just your skin, so it doesn't even need to go inside you, unlike the fish that we saw him use before where it had to go inside of the body. On top of that, he can create this water bubble that literally suffocates you and can't be fought from inside. I mean, yeah, we know that Muichiro did eventually get out of there, but that is because he was a Hashira. A normal person would not have been able to get out of that. And I just want to give him his props with his abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Gyokko, yes, he's nightmare fuel, trust me, especially in that first stage that we saw him in. But once he transformed, we understood that his movements are unnatural for a reason. He can move around for a reason. He can do things that you just can't do normally. And it is actually a sight to behold, a person who is built for war. I was looking at his abilities and all I could think is that he is the guy that you put on the battlefield that will control the war. He can do multiple attacks from multiple different angles in order to shepherd the enemy troops into the directions he wants. He emits poison, which is a mass effect skill which will destroy a lot of enemies, and his ability to move the way that he does and teleport where he is great for surveillance and gathering information. It's a shame that he had to go on a one-on-one fight because he was at the disadvantage, and not only was he at a disadvantage being on a one-on-one fight, he's against the strongest Hashira there kind of is at the moment that we've seen. And let's not forget that Muichiro is actually a freaking beast. He is worth 2 Hashiras in his humble opinion, but the way it's looking like he's worth more. And so for him to be pitted up against this match was already decided. And I like the matter of fact way that Muichiro was just telling him, yo bruv, this is over. It's a foregone conclusion. You are dead. Game over. And it's true. This guy was not built for a one-on-one. Yes, he's strong, but he definitely couldn't handle Muichiro. He could have probably taken out someone like Rengoku or something.
Okay, now I'm going to say something that might upset some people, so prepare. First, let's say the nice thing. First, I thought that Gyokko was more like a Naga, but I think he might be like a Naiad or something similar because of the webbed hands and that kind of thing. That very cool design, very interesting. However, I understand why they didn't concentrate as heavily on Gyokko as they did with like Hantengu. More has been put into his look and his powers, but his actual character lacks. He was made as someone you just won't mind dying. And Gyokko's death should have shown me how amazing Muichiro is, but it didn't. It's the most disappointing end to any demon of note in all of the seasons. It was underwhelming, disappointing, and anticlimactic. To make it worse, they had this idiot swordsmith trying to do this funny bit, but it was misplaced because of how disappointing and depressing the demise of such an upper demon.
I kind of half agree with you. I know I said it, I don't want to see no backstory, but I kind of did. I missed it. We needed it. Like, we needed to see Gyokko's backstory. We don't know nothing about him. How can we emote or relate to him? Look, at least with the Kaza, he came in with force and he didn't lose. So we've got time to see his backstory. With all the other demons we've seen in the show, we get a backstory. We get to actually know who the demon is before we get that Talk No Jutsu in the end before they're beheaded. Even Daki and Gyotaro had their whole backstory. We understood their relationship. We understood why they were the way they were. And even if we didn't agree with what they were doing, we kind of got them as fully fledged out characters. Gyokko is not that. He was pure vanity, pure arrogance, pure conceitedness, and pure pride. That was it. There was nothing else. And yet, the other demon, Hantengu, was all of those things, and yet we still have more of an affinity towards him. Now, saying that, it felt like they took something that was fantastic and dulled it down, because we've just explained how fantastic Gyokko's abilities are, and not to be shadowed by Muichiro's abilities. But both of these characters, including Muichiro, and I'm sorry to say it, fell flat for me in this episode.
A backstory wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have helped because they didn't do enough with his character. Like you said, it was focused on his vanity, him loving his artwork, and really nothing else. With Daki, we didn't even need a backstory when it came to her character because we knew the type of person that she was. The backstory gave you empathy. However, she was a fully fledged demon on her own. We could understand her motivations as a demon even if we didn't agree with it. With Gyokko, there is no substance.
Yeah,
which is a shame because he had so many abilities, and then even with all of his abilities, it wasn't utilized in the last fight. If you actually think about all of the episodes that we've watched, and you think about all the moments that Gyokko has had, the moments where he's been brilliant has been in real small snippets, and they haven't utilized even what he can do. This fight should have been epic. In fact, this is what I believe that they should have done. Kanroji should have arrived on scene with Muichiro to deal with Gyokko so that we can see how amazing he is. We've already seen what Hantengu can do. We should have had a swordsmith finally get that sword to Tanjiro and actually have the trio, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya, fight together to actually end Hantengu. I think that that is actually plausible and could have worked.
Side note, by the way, I did like Rengoku's little cameo in this episode. It kind of brought it home for me, and it was probably the only saving grace because I've been 2 episodes now without a proper hatred scene, and the little snippet that I got at the end of this was just not enough, and I really want to see what was going on with hatred because they made it so good with Hantengu, and they just did not give Gyokko the same amount that they gave Hantengu. I don't fully understand why, but even if they were going to do that, like Ruka said, we needed some substance here. We needed Gyokko to have a motivation.
Art
is the art. And to further take the piss, and I'm sorry to say it, we had Tanjiro on the screen for the best part of 3 minutes. Now we had Gyokko for the best part of 15. Which one were you more interested in what was going to happen to next? Guys, I know you're enjoying this episode, but I know a lot of you aren't actually subscribed. So all you got to do is just press the subscribe button. It's right there. Don't forget to ding that bell.
I didn't need to see him for most of this episode. However, he is very different now that he has his memories back and he comes across as confident instead of an ass.
Does he?
No, he's still an ass.
A dick, bro.
But he's an ass to the right person this time around. He's still a dick. We also found out that he did, in fact, lose his memory during that horrific night. He held his brother's arm, it seems, for several days because he said maggots had set in and was eating away his brother's body and had actually started in on his body too.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? The characters have all been done one way except for Muichiro and Yuichiro. What's going on?
Look, I said this last week and I'm saying it still, actually. In fact, this episode made it feel like I was even more correct. But I'm actually going to add in another possibility that I was thinking about last week as well, but didn't actually say. That is that when the marks appear on Muichiro's face, that's when it almost seems like he's slightly different to himself. I still really think that there's a possibility that he is fused with his brother Yuichiro and that there's 2 types inside of him. That's why he blacks out when he's got those marks on his face. It's why when he's having memories of his brother and just again when he was sort of losing consciousness, his family were around him. And from what we've seen with Tanjiro and the fact that we can kind of say with quite good certainty that they're related to each other. The families seem to be able to communicate post-death, and I feel like that was happening here as well. The dad spoke with his mouth. Yuichiro didn't speak. Everything he said was inside of his head. Yet again, kind of the same as the end of last episode when he was blacking out. It was the same kind of weird disjoint with the way that the speech is being said and the way that the subtitles are being put down, which I feel is really significant. It's telling us something about these brothers. I think that there is some kind of connection here. Either Yuichiro is the actual one we've been following, or both of them are in one body.
I don't know if my actual feelings are going to come across correctly, but the fight between Muichiro and Gyokko after he got out of the bubble was pointless. It was an actual unnecessary fight. Now, it will only be necessary for me if Gyokko's not really dead and somehow he has managed to survive this, even though we saw him disintegrate into ashes. I hope that is the case. But really and truly, if that is not the case, then I don't see the point to the fight. But I do like the fact that the fight ended quickly in terms of the story and in terms of how to show that Muichiro is actually better than he was before. I understand the motifs, but I think something felt off about the whole situation, and I feel like they're allowed to fall off once or twice. Do you get what I mean? Because they've been brilliant, and visually it was still stunning. I like the fact that Tanjiro was still doing bits, bro. He was doing bits. Man was flung into the air, fighting a Hydra, running around, getting his leg hurt, running, winded, can't heal himself, can't use no breathing techniques, and was still going ham, and ended up inside the belly of the beast.
Oh my god! Look, my notes. Get out my head!
No, do you know what the joke is? You know when you said Naga?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in the belly of the beast, he's getting crushed, he's dying. Nezuko's got that cute, oh my god, what's going on face on her. Genya, by the way, if you were this strong, what the F have you been doing this whole time? But yeah, okay. So the scene has been...
Genya's been doing the most! Not the most.
Not
like more than everyone, but he's been doing so much.
Just because you're growing, don't mean you can't hold your own, mate. Like, my guy ripped the guy's head and ripped one of the Hydra's head in half.
Yeah.
Where was that before?
Remember, he said like a few episodes ago that he was, whatever he's doing to keep him on this level was running out. So he is pulling out every last ounce out of him. It's almost like they're spent, but they don't want to die at the same time.
Yeah,
so they're pulling out anything from anywhere inside of them to survive this fight. So like, leave Genya, man.
All right, Genya, all right, I allow you. However, look, it was the busted eardrums for me. Now, listen, yeah, my guy has dizziness. He tried to do a Hero Kamikagura, which we already knows is overheating his body and causes immense pain. Then he gets his eardrums busted. Then his leg hurt. Then he's still dashing and dodging two heads. Then he runs back in for a fight thinking, yeah, I'm 66 Shaka away, so therefore he can't get me. And then he hits him with the extendo, drags him in. Bruv, you know what? 5 minutes. That's what they had. 5 minutes.
Am I supposed to be moved? When doesn't Tanjiro get his eardrums burst? When isn't his leg broke? Pull it out of the bag. Figure it out.
Get out. Get out.
No, Tanjiro's been doing great, but okay. So, as usual, Tanjiro fights for longer than anyone else. And here comes a Hashira at the very last moment to gobble the glory. This just pisses me off. Like I said earlier on, kanroji should have gone to Muichiro. They should have fought together with Gyokko so that we could see more of Gyokko's actual skills and maybe him saying more than, oh my god, my art, and then left Tanjiro here with Nezuko and Genya, brought the sword across to him. Come on, Mr. Hanagazuka, you must have finished it by now. It's episode 9. And then had him actually fight and win.
Yeah, he needs a W. Like, Tanjiro,
a main win, like not just the wins that he's been getting. Like, come on, how many times are you gonna do this where he's fighting for days on end and then you just come along and take the glory? Like, that's not what we're gonna keep doing.
Well, Tanjiro needs to just be a Hashira, innit? Hurry up and become a Hashira so that we can stop getting your backside saved, innit? Okay, so Rika, what would you judge this episode?
You know what? The last bit was really good, but we can't be putting a value on the episode from the last 2 minutes. So it's gonna have to be a 6, and I feel like I'm being very generous when I give it a 6 because really I want to give it a 5. I feel like it was a very mediocre episode.
So week in, week out, I think Demon Slayer has been the best anime of the week in terms of the new season that's come out. Except for this week, for me, it's a 6.5. Last week I gave it a 7, and I thought story-wise last week was good. But this week, story-wise, was not good enough to carry, and that's what I'm watching Demon Slayer for, not just the awesome graphics. First of all, thank you so much for watching our episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's BombAnime Insta. Peace.